Hey, how's it going, guys? Can you guys hear me okay?
Hey, yeah, what's going on, Alex? Yep, hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Sounds good.
We'll go ahead and get started here in a couple of minutes. I just want to give our community members enough time to trickle in.
Yo, can you guys hear me now? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, mic check,
All right,
mic
thanks,
check.
sweet.
Yeah, we can hear everyone. We got Alex, Truro, Red, and Indiana unmuted. If there's anybody else that we need to unmute, raise your hands, guys. So you come to the top of the list. I think we probably got everyone, and we're gonna get started in about a minute here, guys. I think we're gonna mute chat, post all the links, and get the show on the road.
I'm just going to get started now because we got a lot to talk about. Good afternoon, Whale Coin Talk community. My name is Noah. I'm here today with the Redlight Finance team. And gentlemen, ladies, if there are any, go ahead and give us a quick background of who you are and how you got to be in the crypto space today.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. My name's Leo, aka Indiana Gems. I'm the CEO of Redlight Finance. I've been in crypto about 5-6 years. Started off just as an ICO investor, looking for ICOs, and then obviously hold mentality. And then after that, I started my own TG group, much like this, on a lot smaller scale though, which was Redlight Token District. Then met Alex and a couple of the other team members there, and then we decided to start our own project, which was Redlight Node District, a node protocol. And then after that, we decided to push a little bit further and make our own company, which is Redlight Finance, as you see today. So a bit about my background. Got my own business. I own a labor hire company. Got about 100 employees working underneath me. Come from an IT background, so I'm an actual qualified infrastructure engineer for about 10 years now. Yeah, so, and I guess I'll pass it on to Alex to give a quick brief introduction.
How's it going, everybody? My name's Alex. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at Redlight Finance. Basically, my role is to make sure all the technology is, first of all, good, but also secure. Security is a really big passion of mine, especially when it comes to the blockchain, the education side of things, which Roy will probably touch on later tonight, and basically taking the human factor and addressing the security part of the trilemma for our blockchain. But a little bit about me. I got into crypto back in 2015. Fell in love with Bitcoin, fell in love with Ethereum when it came out. I really loved what Vitalik did with Ethereum and Ethereum virtual machines and coming out with smart contracts and really bringing up to the crypto space of what it is today, pretty much. That's what inspired me to start working on a blockchain. And now we get to finally, after all that time, after like about 6 years of research and work and architecture work, we finally get to launch that coming up. So super excited about that. I'll pass it on to Rory, our COO.
Hey, so my name is Rory, or otherwise known as Red. So I'm the COO here. So basically to see the overall operations of everything from start to the end, making sure everything's ticking along smoothly, and also do like the white papers and our meeting articles. So basically trying to translate the stuff that Leo and Alex come up with and make it so that someone that doesn't spend 20 hours a day talking to them will actually understand, make you guys' life easier. But yeah, a bit about me. So I've been in crypto for about 4 years now, and just by chance met Leo about 2 years ago, who showed me like the DeFi side of things. That's when I really got a lot heavily involved into it all. And my normal background, so I spent the last 10 years or so in corporate sales and management, basically. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll pass it over to Shero or Bailey.
Hey guys, so I'm Cheryl Bailey. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and also Social Media Manager at Redlight Finance. Have a bit of a background in marketing. I've came into the whole business scene, I guess you could say, during that whole dropship marketing phase when everyone that really started to first take off. So started learning how to sell products there, and as a progressed in life, went into real estate for a while, and then ended up in the crypto scene majorly about 3 years ago. Met Leo and Rory, and kind of been a bit of a journey there. Along my time, I've also managed a lot of social media pages, some accounts amassing millions and millions of followers. We also have, that's it for me. We also have our Chief Financial Officer, Joe, who couldn't be here today, but he runs all the financial sides behind the scene and a lot of the business deals we do. But in saying that, we are a good team, and we work well together. But the beauty of us is we kind of dip into everyone's lane, so we work together really well, even though people have specialized roles. It's really good to count on each other and get other people's opinions. But yeah, that's the main team.
Right on. Quite the extensive background. If you combine all you together, your project comes from humble origins, and I'm curious to know more about a brief history and even a high-level overview of the world of Redlight Finance before we jump into the nuts and bolts of things individually.
Yeah, certainly. So I guess I'll take this one. Like I said before, I guess in my introduction, we started off as a Telegram group, which was doing promotion, research into gems and other projects, much like yourselves. And then after that, I met Alex. So I obviously knew Bailey or Shiro, Rory, and our Chief Financial Officer, Joe, known for about 8 years. And then when that whole node season happened, I met Alex actually through a mutual acquaintance. And then we just started talking about protocols and stuff because, obviously I have a tech background as well. So, with smart contracts and stuff like that and Solidity. So started talking to him, and then we hatched a plan to create our own one. So we were obviously in other node protocols, which, like they rugged, for example, or they didn't do too well. And we thought we could dip our hand in and build one a lot better. So we wanted to do something a little bit different. When we did the Redlight Node District, we wanted to, I guess, have a kind of, you could say, kind of cutting edge with the marketing stuff. So we thought we'd play on the Redlight theme kind of a little bit in that regards. And yeah, so we introduced basically game theory into it. So something where you had to manage your investment, strategize the way you build, compounded, cashed out, and so on. And then from there, we thought, we'll do okay. And it really exploded on the scene. We gained a very large community, built something from the foundation up. So, a lot of our community have been with us from the start. And then we really built it out, and then we thought, okay, how can we pivot? How can we push the boundaries of something else? So what we did was we founded and we pivoted to Redlight Finance. So we obviously took a more business appropriate edge. We registered our business in 3 different countries, so Dubai, Singapore, and Australia. And then we really wanted to change the DeFi realm. So Alex will talk about the blockchain, but that was one of the main things that we needed to really push our DeFi I guess, ecosystem, financial ecosystem, because one of the ethos that we have is, we want to bridge DeFi and real world business, because obviously myself and Joe have very extensive business connections in that regard. So we actually have outside business investments which are tied into Redlight as well. And yeah, this is where we are now. We've got a pretty extensive roadmap. So we're going to be launching, our blockchain, which is Redlight Chain, which is RedLC. We're also doing a new, I guess, passive income project, which is basically migrating from our old investors at Redlight Node District into something called Scarlet Chains, which really pushes game theory to the next level. Then we've got our own DEX coming out, which is Dawn Swap. Then we have our own NFT marketplace, which is called Midnight Trades. And then we obviously have tied into our blockchain a validator dashboard, and something coming really soon after that, which is the Twilight Trust, which is a unique take on stake farming.
Okay, so lots to unpack here, and I certainly want to jump into the blockchain here very soon. Before that, though, you guys chose to launch on Avalanche. It's my favorite alternative layer one. I'm curious to know why that was the chain you went with, and how that's helped you with community building.
Yeah, so I've obviously seen the ups and downs of BSC, so as the rest of the team. We felt like we wanted to branch out a little bit. So, I started dabbling into Avalanche. And in my core group, I kind of made it kind of my thing where I didn't want to call any kind of BSC projects. Not saying there's bad ones there or good ones. There's both in that regards, but I really wanted to push alternative chains. So we started looking at Avalanche, started looking at Phantom, started looking at Polygon, but we really liked Phantom. Fast, scalable, really low gas, EVM compatible. So it was very easily able to translate across. You use Snowtrace, which is basically a direct replica of BSC scan. And the smart contracts work exactly the same. So we thought, okay, there's existing node protocols that we looked up to. One of them being Thor. Strong block was obviously on Ethereum, but the same vibe. And we thought, look, it'd be a really good chain to go on. It was fast, cheap, and it was very compatible with everything we wanted to do. So we basically went over there, and yeah, it was really good. At the start, like before the node season really kicked up a notch, a lot of those compatibilities, as well as like really the cheap gas price, really played into our hands and what we wanted to do. And yeah, we just found it a really good chain to be on.
So briefly tell us about the Redlight node district and what does a hybrid node actually mean?
I'm sorry, you said, what does a what actually mean?
A hybrid node.
So in the sense for Redlight Node District, a hybrid node was an NFT that is able to be scaled in the sense where you can upgrade that NFT, change that NFT, and earn different rewards off of that NFT. So we had 3 different types, and we'll touch this on Scarlet Chains when we talk about our new protocol as well. But basically, we had 3 different types of NFTs, and these NFTs paid you a certain amount in rewards. Now you could use the lower end tiers to upgrade into middle tiers or higher tiers of the NFT, and they would generate different rewards and have additional boosters along with it that affected your entire wallet positively.
Okay, right on. And I'm sure this ties more into my favorite part of the AMA, which is going to be hearing more about this zero gas EVM compatible layer 1 blockchain that you guys are building. First question, how are you managing a zero gas, secure, decentralized, and scalable EVM blockchain?
Yeah, fantastic question. So we really noticed that with blockchains or traditional blockchains, that scalability was extremely difficult outside of industries that are directly tied to or associated with crypto. You can't take a blockchain that requires payment for transactions and integrate them into traditional database systems because it would cost too much just to send and receive information in that database. So scalability was always limited in blockchain. So with having no gas, being 100% truly gasless, and I mean zero, not 0.0001, not stake a coin, get another token in order to use that as its governance. No, I mean zero as in zero. And that's really important because that allows our blockchain to be completely integrated into other industries seamlessly, whether that be the medical industry, whether that be the Department of Defense, whether that be anything related to a relational database management system, our blockchain can be integrated into and scaled. That's what's super important. Now, how do we achieve the zero gas? I'm not unfortunately able to tell you because that is very proprietary and that's what our bread and butter is. But what I can tell you is that we have a proof of authority and proof of stake hybrid that pays our validators 8 red LC per day. It's fully decentralized in the sense that anybody can own a validator and also stake into validators and earn rewards off of validation on the blockchain. And of course, going on to security, I'm not going to sit here and say that our blockchain is the most impervious, best thing ever because it's like absolutely unpenetrable, because that's just not the truth, right? Nothing can be fully secure like that. But on a rudimentary level of technology, blockchains itself are extremely secure. The number one issue with crypto and quote unquote hacks are not actually true hacks. They're more like exploits or human error that lead to exploits. And social engineering takes a huge part in that. Why is that different for our blockchain? Well, because we utilize a proof of authority and proof of stake hybrid, we spread the burden of risk between all of our validators, which at maximum is 3,000. So for someone to fully attack our network, you'd have to control over 51% of the validators. Now here's the kicker. Because of our decentralized nature, we have a decentralized voting process for our validators that allow us to kick off malicious validators, which is very crucial because if a validator was for some reason taken over, for example, and they tried to send false information onto the blockchain, we can easily identify that through our decentralized system, and we can kick that validator offline. That's very important. That's one of the key highlights of security for proof of authority.
How many validators do you plan on running at the beginning of or at the birth of the blockchain?
So validation and validators are scalable based on network demand. We are starting with around 250.
And who is going to be allowed to run those validators?
There's 200 that are fully bought by people that are in our Discord, are part of our community, and then there's 50 that were outside investors from our financial backgrounds.
And I read that you guys are planning on releasing those in batches. Over what period of time will all of these validators be released to the public, or at least go on sale for the public to purchase?
Great question. So batches are batches of 100. And what's important is that they're not necessarily going to be released on any given time point or any specific date and time period. They're based on network demand, which is very crucial because too many validators at once can have an influx of red LC from rewards that we don't necessarily want and don't necessarily need. If the network is experiencing congestion, for example, which I'll get to later with our pocket system, and we wanted to open up more validators and batches, we can do so. So it's actually scalable in the sense of a network needs, because we don't want to over pollute the entire network with validators right away.
Can you briefly explain how proof of authority works and why you guys chose to go with a hybrid consensus mechanism of POS and POA?
Sure, yeah. So let me start with proof of work, just in case people aren't here as technical. So proof of work is trading in your computational power to solve blocks on a blockchain combined, right? So you're using you're working your machine basically. Now, proof of stake is communicating with each other. Oh, so let me go back one. Proof of work actually pays you for your computational power, right? Proof of stake is communicating between one another and getting rewarded for that communication. And you have to stake in order to participate in that communication. Proof of authority is a hybrid of proof of stake, but we hybrided it even more. With proof of authority, instead of staking a monetary value in the coins, the validator identity is its stake, and it allows you to scale more validator or less validator as needed. And that is the consensus for staking, and it still has the same communication. But the key difference is in proof of authority, it's also communicating back to a master validator, which is unknown as it's decentralized.
And how much do each one of these validators cost to purchase?
So that depends on the time of the batch. First batch was batch 1 that cost 5,000 per validator. Batch 2 costs 10,000 per validator, but it's heavily dependent on the price of Red LC. So for example, if Red LC is $100, obviously we cannot make a validator $15,000, for example. But it also, if it's $5, $10,000 might not necessarily be a good price either. Might have to scale it up a bit. Just so you know, people are buying these validators at $10,000 with a launch price of $1, just to put it into perspective, the value of these validators.
Got it. And can you tell me again how many validators were sold in the first batch and the second batch, $5,000 and $10,000 each, respectively? What's that? Over 100?
Each batch is 100.
Each batch is 100. Excuse me. Sorry. And what's the ROI for running a validator?
That's a great question. So that definitely depends on again, heavily on the price of Red LC. You are getting 8 Red LC per day as a validator. So if you look at it in the perspective of $10,000 spent, divide that by $8, that's 1,250 days. which is not bad, but that gets halved as soon as you hit $2. It hits halved again as soon as you hit $4, and so on and so forth. So ROI is a little bit hard to calculate.
Will you incrementally be increasing each batch by $5,000?
Not necessarily, no. Again, it heavily depends on the price of Red LC. Again, if for some reason on the 20th we shoot up to $100, we can't logically sell validators for $15,000.
Mm-hmm. And
because then they're
can you
making
please
800 a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it makes sense. So can you explain briefly how the pocket system works to prevent network attacks?
Sure, love the pocket system, and all the guys. We're in the same apartment right now. All the guys are gonna laugh at me when I give this analogy. They always do, but they're yelling jeans. So if you really think the pocket system is a two-way validation system that confirms information in a separate instance, but at the same time. The best way I can explain this to you is imagine a pair of jeans that's on your body. You've got 4 pockets on those jeans, typically, right? You might have your phone in your left pocket, your AirPods in your right pocket, and your wallet in your back pocket, right? It's simple. Now, all of those are connected to the same pair of jeans, but they're not touching each other, and they're all separated because they're all in different pockets. You, being the blockchain, are the vessel. If you walk to the grocery store, all of those items are still with you, but they're separated in the sense where they don't affect each other. So the way that works in a pocket, that's why we call it the pocket system, because of actual pockets. So the way that works is if there was network congestion or network attack, it would get segregated through our advanced queue system into a separated pocket so it does not affect other members on the blockchain.
So how far out do you think is the alpha version of your blockchain?
It's already out. It's on the testnet. You can go and play with it right now if you like. If you hit our Discord, you can go to the beta test channel and you can click on the pinned message. You can have fun on the testnet. If you want to see some blocks go by right now, just go to testnet.redlightscan.finance, and you can literally look at blocks go with zero gas, transactions go through, look at all of that stuff. Our beta's been out for a couple of months now. Our testnet, I should say, has been out for a couple of months now, and our mainnet is fully launched already, but we're launching officially on exchanges on the 20th.
So some layer 1s and layer 2 solutions currently competing for market share. What are your plans to entice users and, more importantly, liquidity over to your ecosystem?
That's a fantastic question. I'm going to ask Leo to come in on this one as well, but I just want to touch the point on, we have something that has never been seen before in the crypto industry. Having zero gas allows us to heavily compete in a market that's a little bit diluted. Because we're coming with an innovation that's so advanced, we're able to approach projects that would otherwise not even consider migrating over because of our zero gas. NFT games, metaverse games, and other industries that require a lot of transactions to go through are already on board looking into our blockchain, looking into the testnet, testing it out to see if they're able to migrate with seamlessly because of our zero gas, because it's saving not only them, but it's saving their consumers money as well, and it's getting put back into their projects even more. But I'll bring in Leo to talk a little bit about market share and what we plan to do with outside investments for crypto as well.
Yeah, awesome. So with our blockchain, it's I guess there's a little bit different. Obviously, being gasless is a really heavy marketing tool as well. It's very appealing to businesses that have, say, millions upon transactions. So what does that mean? It opens the doors to actual business viability. And what I mean by that is, for example, our blockchain is also multi-language. So therefore, a front end can be put onto it to convert, say, like Java or C++ or anything that might integrate with it to actually translate to Solidity. So therefore, we have all these plugins that can be done with companies to make it viable. Now, we have partnerships already in the works, some which are going to be announced very, very shortly, which revolve around real-world businesses actually using our blockchain. So, for example, maybe a scanning system. We have our own protocol, which is coming out, which is going to be called Pandora's Vault, and that's going to be a fiat wallet-based card system, which you can transfer funds from from Australia, for example, to Southeast Asia and vice versa, much like crypto.com kind of did, but a little bit different. We're not going to be selling our own native coin. It have a little bit of a twist in that regard. So, and then you think about technology sector. So you think about businesses that have huge data transfers. So, for example, transmitting databases from cloud servers and stuff back to their host business, for example, or connecting people across the world via remote desktop and things like that. This becomes very viable with a gasless blockchain because it just means that businesses, at the end of the day, what they count and what they budget for is set costs. They don't like variable costs, and gas can be like that. You can't say, oh no, gas will cost only $50,000. No, it's variable depending on upscale, demand, congestion. While our blockchain, including the pocket system, for example, doesn't have that. It's eliminated. Therefore, businesses find it very viable that they don't have to calculate that cost. Therefore, the ones that really want to push into the actual blockchain and use it, because a lot of businesses you'll find are very, 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 very intrigued in using it because the blockchain is so secure in that regards.
So your mission is to bridge the real world and Web3 through blockchain technology. And obviously a lot of industries are on the sidelines because, as you said, gas fees are just a hassle to deal with, however minuscule. But how difficult of a lift is it to migrate these legacy systems from a technical perspective, migrate these legacy systems and bring them onto a blockchain and have them run on the blockchain securely? Because a lot of these big companies, they have huge liability, right? There's a lot at risk with bringing over their entire database over to a new blockchain that, I know you guys are still in testnet, but hasn't really been battle tested over a long period of time.
Yeah, it's an excellent statement, excellent question to ask. And like I said, we have that multi-language support where we basically put a middleware in between our blockchain for integration and their input system. So depending on what it is, so it allows us to actually plug in their legacy system. Now, you talk about the testnet; it's been out for a long time. Our mainnet's going to be launching on the 20th. So we've already got a lot of interested parties. And yes, there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines and they're like, look, the technology sounds very good in theory, but we want to see it work. So they need basically proof of work realistically, or I guess proof of concept. Now, the ones that are actually partnering with us, they've tested some things on it and they're very, very happy with it. So when we do the announcements and the integrations, you'll see it move very rapidly. So once we onboard the partners that we're planning to onboard, from there, it's literally showing how it's going to be rolled out. Now, I guess the bright side about me having a business background is I have connections, for example, with a managed service. Now he owns basically a cybersecurity firm. Now he's already said there's a protocol that we're bringing out a little bit later called Redlight Secure, which we're going to build together. And he's very interested to push that to his clients because the concept is there and he knows my background, I know his background. So there's that mutual trust there. So this will become a proof of concept to do those heavy data transfers to really prove that it is secure and the liability is very limited.
So we've talked about what this means for industries. What about the retail market? Why do you believe that gas fees, however minuscule, are such a massive barrier to entry to everyday people like you and me?
That's a fantastic question. And let's be honest, have you ever tried to mint an NFT on Ethereum? It's not fun. And that subject gets a lot of people to a lot less, I guess you could say, scale when it comes to investments. It's really important to realize that there's a growing industry in a whole bunch of different earning mechanisms, whether it's play to earn, watch to earn, or learn to earn. Right? All of these different industry or sub-industries within crypto are super reliant on NFTs, new customers, and the blockchain that they're on. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to already NFT game developers who are finding it a battle just to develop something within a blockchain because of the numerous amount of transactions a user would have to do just to play the game. And that would cost them, whether it be 30 cents, $1, $5, or $50 on Ethereum, it still costs them. You don't want your end users to have to pay just to do a simple transaction in the game, like even talk to an NPC or trade with an NPC, you wouldn't want them to pay $5 in gas fees. On top of that, having the people, there's 96% of the world that's not involved in crypto yet. Go to a 7-Eleven or a gas station near you and start talking about how someone can earn money by playing an NFT game just by having a little bit of fun, blowing time like you normally do anyways on your phone. You can earn some money. And then explain to them that in order to get involved, they have to mint an NFT, pay money for that NFT, pay for gas to mint it, and then pay to do transactions on that game. They're gonna be like, that's crazy. It's a lot more complicated then. Now you have to teach them and educate them on a whole avenue of crypto that otherwise should just be phased out. And that's what we're trying to do with gas.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this a bit, and I'm sure you guys can help me. But if there's no gas fees, then how are the validators who are securing the network being paid out? Right? What's the money? Go ahead.
That's a fantastic question. It happens every AMA we do. So if you look at Avalanche, for example, Avalanche burns a significant amount of its gas. It's right there on Snowtrace. You can look at it, and you can look at all the transactions that burn gas. They actually pay validators a separate way, which is from a kind of like a staking pool in which they have separated just for validation and confirming transactions for their proof of stake. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how we do it for ours for proof of authority because it's super proprietary. And again, our blockchain is brand new, especially with gases. A lot of eyes are on it. So I can't tell you exactly how it works. But if you take AVAX as an example, you can pretty much wrap your head around how that's paid.
Okay, fair enough. And so I won't ask too many validator questions, and I won't ask too many like how are you guys doing zero gas fees questions, because I know that a lot of that, as you mentioned, is proprietary, but I haven't seen anything like this before, so I find it very interesting. I'm curious to know how easy it is going to be for folks to bridge over funds to your blockchain. Will there be decentralized bridges? I know that you guys have something going on with XT. Maybe tell us a bit more of that as well, please.
Yeah, of course. Fantastic. I'll let Leo answer the XT part, but about the bridges, we had a fantastic ICO, and that ICO was very interesting because it was ran utilizing 3 different chains simultaneously with 3 simultaneous runway bridges. T bridges, sorry. It's like a T intersection. So basically, you connected your wallet to our ICO page on the Binance Smart Chain. It read your NFTs on the Avalanche Smart Chain, Avalanche network, sorry. And then it literally transferred after the purchase was all said and done. It transferred the Red LC after reading the Binance Smart Chain to your wallet on the Redlight network. Now, that's very important because that shows a fantastic proof of concept of a T bridge in the sense where it's reading one from one angle and then sending it through a bridge on the other side. It's actually fantastic. So we have a couple of bridges in development currently for launch. Binance to Avalanche. Binance to Redlight chain, and also Avalanche to Redlight chain with Ethereum, Phantom, and Solana and other big chains coming shortly after. And we're also partnering with other people that I can't talk about yet because India will be mad at me, but we're partnering with other people as well in talks with bridging and stable coins. But Leo will go ahead and talk about XT and what our involvement is with that.
Yeah, so quite a bit covered there. So we're obviously on launch day, we're going to be launching on CoinStore and XT. Bitmart will follow shortly, as well as Bitcastle. With XT and CoinStore, they've already integrated our blockchain on there. So you can actually bridge funds to your wallet on there. And then from there, you can bridge it across on Red LC itself. So as well as, we have the bridges for BSC, as well as Avalanche for now. And then we're looking obviously at Ethereum and the ones to follow from there on in.
How easy it is how easy is it to get money to XT, and is there any way to avoid that 24-hour withdrawal period?
Well, with XT itself, normally all exchanges, they normally have a bit deposit time, as well as a trading time and a withdrawal time. It's pretty standard with a lot of with a lot of launches for coins on exchanges. As well as getting around it. No, we don't have anything in that regards, but obviously RedLC will be loaded onto our DEX for our upcoming protocol, which is Scarlet Chains, as well as interacting with midnight trades as well.
So on the topic of your DEX, what excites you most about it, and what excites you most about your NFT marketplace?
So our DEX is, we've obviously got our own liquidity pools. We've also got our own staking and farming on there. It's really exciting because it's going to be totally based on RedLC or Redlight chain. So it's going to be totally gasless. So people will be able to actually process that and see Redlight chain in action itself. With midnight trades, we're obviously coming out with just a stock standard NFT marketplace for now. There is developments happening in the background, but because we are doing something kind of unfathomable where we're launching literally 5 different projects at once, which was needed because when you launch your own blockchain, well, you don't have a DEX to obviously swap stuff on. With Scarlet Chains being NFT-based passive income, we needed a marketplace. So all of these things needed to be developed and launched together. Now, Midnight Trades is going to be a little bit special. There's going to be what we're looking at doing is maybe having a time period where certain bonuses will be available. And that kind of plays on the name with Midnight Trades, as well as we're going to be doing maybe shared NFTs and stuff like that. So there's definitely going to be built utilities out there, which other NFT marketplaces don't currently have. But because we had to launch everything all at the same time, we couldn't fit it all in totally into the time constraints because we just wanted to make sure that everything was secure, working, tested, and fully smooth for the whole launch going forward on the 20th of August.
So let's talk RedLC tokenomics a bit, and also I want to hear more about your plan to burn down the tokens from the initial supply of 210 million to an ultimate supply of 21 million over time.
Sure. So if you notice, Bitcoin is at 21 million total supply, as well as total rewards and stuff. We wanted to decouple ourselves from the Bitcoin market trends. That was the original idea behind the total supply. The reason why we have a burn is because we have an optional gas feature. Now, the optional gas feature is a very, very cool feature because if you know, with blockchain technology, especially with EVM compatible layer 1s, you can get rid of gas like we have, but you can't get rid of GWEI. Now, GWEI is the calculation of gas, for those of you who don't know. Now, we can't just program that out because it's so embedded into the fundamentals of a blockchain that's very hard to do. So having a optional gas feature is very important. Why? Because one, investors want to have the option of, hey, I want to go faster, or I want to be dedicated. I want to make sure I get this NFT, or I want to make sure I get this pre-sale. I want to make sure that my stuff gets through first, and that's fine. The way we broke it down was, it's very simple. If the user decides they want to pay gas, they can, and they get added to a separate personal validation system in a pocket, right? So they get their own little pocket, and that might not necessarily go through faster than someone using no gas for a completely separate instance, but you get put in your own validation pool and that pocket, sorry, and that allows you to get a dedicated validator towards your transaction, which is super important. Now, that gas that you use to spend, it gets completely and 100% burnt. And there's other methods on our blockchains as well. Like there's some instances for our Dusk, our upcoming play to earn game, that will burn RedLC. There's RedLC being burnt from Scarlet. There's RedLC being burnt from Midnight Trains, DawnSwap, etc. That's going to continuously burn down to that 21 million supply.
Sweet. Well, that answers my question about all the different burn mechanisms you guys have. Tell us a bit more about Dusk. I've been curious to know what kind of play to earn game you guys are building.
It's funny because I actually just read out the entire white paper to Leo today as a refresher, and he looked at me like he was going to kill me because of how complex and awesome that it's going to be, because it's going to be the first game that's 100% fully NFT driven. You can't do that on other chains because that would seriously require a significant amount of transactions, which would require a significant amount of gas, which requires a significant amount of money. And people don't want to pay that. So what Dusk is, it's a futuristic apocalyptic tower defense 2D game that has two separate parts: the game theory part and the game itself. Now, simply speaking, you interact with the game by getting lands, and these lands produce resources. Now, these resources are used to craft items, recruit units, pay the merchant, swing trade on resources via gold, and you can all sell this on the secondary market if you so chose. And of course, you want to build up all these defenses, all these units, and you want to play the game. Now, the game itself is tower defense. So connect your wallet. It reads your wallet based on the units you've recruited, the buildings you've made from your resources, all the crafting you've done, and it gives you these items in your inventory. You have a 2-minute grace period where you can set up all your buildings, set up all your defenses, and place your initial units. Then wave 1 starts. Wave 1 comes at you, and it could be rogues, it could be tanks, helicopters. You defend your tower. After the end of every wave, you'll be given an option. Excuse me. You'll be able to give an option. You can either keep going and risk it, or you can end there and take your reward. If you take your reward, great, comes in the reward pool. You can do whatever you want from that reward. It's NFTs. There are lands, there are units, there are resources that you'll get. It's not a token. It's not a monetary value. It's not traded. Everything is fully run by NFTs. And it's reliant solely on a secondary market. So the play to earn aspect comes from the secondary market, and it's just like a trading card game in that sense. Now, the important part about continuing on and risking it is if you lose and you have land, say you're in real life and you really think about it, and you have a tower and you lose, you have to flee away from those lands. So say you have 4 lands and you lose, those 4 lands go into the loser's pool, I guess you can call it, and you only get 3 lands back that are completely random. So they could be better or they could be worse than the lands that you lost. That's what's very important. And you have to continue and pretty much start over your journey in your new lands with only the resources that you had in your inventory. So super cool twist on the game. And there's so much more to it. I don't want to take up too much time on it.
No, not at all, Alex. I feel like you got super enthusiastic when talking about the game. Can you give us a sneak peek into Twilight Trust?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. Yeah, so the Twilight Trust is a unique staking, I guess, farm or platform that we actually had in R&D back in the time, and that was called the Trust back then as well. So what it is it's a unique take on using our real business investments. So, for example, we've got something called everlast harvesting, and we've got other things which are going to be filtering all those profits into our trust. Now, the trust is actually a 5-tier system. So they're basically splitting the profit. So, for example, we've got the max one, which is 50%, then 25%, then 15%, and then 10%. So 4-tier, I should say. Now, how it basically works is people will they'll have to stake an equal share of, for example, SCAR and Red LC to be able to enter that trust. And what happens is they have to stake a specific amount, which will come to obviously a dollar value, or I should say USD value. Now, what will happen is there's cycles, and basically in those cycles, each cycle will pay a certain amount out. Now, judging on the figures that I've got basically preliminary, you're looking at like returns of like about 400 to 500%. And you might say, oh, that's huge. But the thing is, none of these actual, well, the majority of the inflows or the profit that's coming in is actually real world business income. So it's not dependent on, for example, a bear market, or it's, I guess, swayed by the volatility that crypto has. So we're able to actually pay these kind of profits out. Now, the unique part about it is we've got something called cap seeding. So each one, for example, our top tier only has a cap seeding of 100, and then the next one down is 200 seats. The next one down is 200 seats, and the micro one is about 600 seats. So depending on what your investment level is or what you're prepared to stake, there's something for everybody. So the micro vault, for example, with rough figures, you would only have to basically stake about $25, and you would get a return of about 130, which is about a 500% return, and that's based off 14 days. So it works along those lines. It's not your traditional, I guess, staking, how it will work. It's a little bit of a twist. We wouldn't be Redlight if we didn't do something quite unique and different.
How do you guys envision the Red LC governance structure working?
Fantastic question. So I envision the governance structure to work just like Avalanche or Ethereum, in the sense where it's used for basically everything on that chain. The only difference from us is that you just won't be using it for gas, whether that be liquidity pairings, farms, utilizing it as a governance token, a governance coin in your game or on your D app. All of those are possibilities for what what our coin can do on a blockchain. But pretty much the possibilities are endless. The only thing that you won't use it for is required gas, only optional gas.
Understood. And I wanted to circle back to a bit more fundamental questions. And I know that you guys can't reveal everything, but ultimately, shouldn't everyone, or I guess ultimately, shouldn't you reveal what's happening under the hood with respect to your validators, with respect to how you guys are solving the trilemma of scalability, decentralization, and security? The way I always understood it was that if you have fast speeds, then you're typically sacrificing decentralization. And I'm just curious to know, with so few validators and so much happening under the hood, like, when will you be able to reveal that to big investors, industries, companies? Because I think they'll all want to see how it actually works before they decide to migrate over.
Yeah, great question. I mean, these companies and these organizations can easily use the testnet to test whether or not it would work for what solution they're trying to acquire before migrating over. But I mean, you said so few validators. I want to touch on the point where our goal is to have 3,000 validators, which is a significant amount. It's more than Solana. It's about the same as Avalanche, and we do have a 2-second block speed with about 4,500 transactions per second, similar to Avalanche, but a little bit faster block speed. Now that scales. That's right now that 2-second block speed is with I think there's 15 validators total running at this point in time. So we're still extremely fast, but that's why we don't want to dilute validators too soon, because we don't want that red LC to be circulating from rewards too early and dilute the blockchain. And of course, you can have something as reverse congestion, where if there's too many validators at once, it could cause problems in your blockchain when trying to secure certain mechanisms for other industries.
And I skipped
But to
over this.
answer
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, to answer your question about revealing information, I mean, it's extremely proprietary. If there comes a time where a company or something needs to develop a solution that required that, we would have to take necessary protocols in place to have like NDA signed, non-competes, etc., so that way we can protect our our intellectual property. Because it's extremely important for us that this kind of technology and this innovation is well taken care of, throughout the time.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. How many developers do you have currently building, testing, and making sure that the blockchain is safe and robust?
That's a fantastic question. I know we have about 5 senior developers and about 10 junior developers, as well as the core development team, which is myself, Leo, Rory, Bailey, and Joe. Now, as far as programmers go, it would be, if you count myself, Leo, it'd be about close to 20. I have to like
When you
picture people's
guys
names in my head to count that off.
no worries. When you guys finally go live, despite the zero gas fees, despite all the exciting things you have coming, I think it always takes a bit to, and I know you guys mentioned liquidity incentives through your DEX, but it always takes a bit to incentivize players that are currently in the space to migrate their funds over. So a lot of other chains, layer ones, even layer two solutions have done this. Have you spoken with projects, DeFi juggernauts like Aave, like Curve, to see if they would fork over or create compatibility on your chain to entice users using liquidity incentives to bridge their funds over?
That's a fantastic question. We are in advanced talks with a lot of people in general, just on migrating over and them being interested in the technology. A lot of the events that we go to for crypto, like the conferences, do a really good job at networking for a plethora of different solutions. But one we wanted to really shout out to is we're going to have a conversation with Sphere Finance. They're a fantastic protocol. Simsala, the man himself, is willing to meet with us to see what we can kind of accomplish together on our blockchain.
Right on. Guys, I prepared extensively, or did my best at least, to formulate as many questions as I could about the Redlight chain. And I soon realized that you guys also have a Scarlet Chains white paper, and you guys also have 2 more white papers in the works. You guys are doing so much. So I'm curious to know a bit about how Scarlet Chains work and how that fits into the entire ecosystem.
Well, that's Leo's baby.
Yeah, so Scarlet Chains is basically born from migrating, or I guess showing that our foundation, I guess investors coming over to our blockchain was an avenue that they could do. So what we did was, in the DeFi realm with nodes, there was obviously, the price depreciation with people, constantly selling, compounding, even with, really good tokenomics and stuff. It's hard to, arrest that slide. So what we did was, I basically went away for a couple of weeks, and then I came back, and then I remember I pitched it to Alex, and I'm like, look here, this is what I've developed. What do you think? And he just said, we have to go through it like line by line. And then he said I was crazy. So what it basically was is an improved R&D. And it was basically born from the failures, or I guess some of the mistakes that we made in our first project, and rectifying those and making sure that we had, I guess, more robust and stable product. And what I mean by stable product is we've got stabilization, so stable pricing. So there's, some protocols out there that have stable pricing. We did a little bit differently. We formulated our own plan to do that. So when I say the stable pricing, it's literally going to start at $20. Now, the unique thing about that is we have something which is called the rising floor. So what that means is if certain metrics are met, we can actually push that price up. So that's to increase the value and still keep that price stability. Now, it's a little bit different in regard, I guess it's a little bit more advanced with game theory, as we have our base chains. So there's 3, I guess you could call them 3 nodes. So bottom, I guess your smallest one, medium one, and your top level one. Now, the unique thing about that is we've got chain enhancers, which are NFT. So all of this is NFT based anyway. But where I really hatched the plan and really went a bit, I guess, pushing the envelope a little bit, is we've got something called the sacrificial vaults. Now, there's 2 different ones. There's a Dawn one and there's a Dusk one. Now, you might ask what the differences are. The Dawn one basically will reward you where you put in 3 of your chains or 3 of your Scarlet Chain assets, and you have the chance of getting something better on the other end. It could be better, it could be something the same, or it could be a lower value, but you get 1. So it's basically a 3-to-1 denomination in that regards. Now, the Dawn Vault itself, it doesn't, anything that you mint from there, you'll get to keep. The Dusk Vault really ups the game a little bit. Now, what I mean by that is there is a chance that when you mint something, or I guess you use the sacrificial vault for Dusk, that your NFT can actually get stolen. Now, we have a unique NFT that if the holder actually has it, any of those stolen mint access, any of those stolen mints of the NFTs, they'll actually drop into their wallet and they'll gain that. Now, all the best, I guess, chain enhancers in the Dusk Vault. So you got to kind of risk it a little bit to get rewarded. Now, one of the reasons why we did that is we wanted basically our passive income project to have a secondary market or secondary uses. You don't want to hold assets that, later on down the line, you might want to pull out your investment and say, look, I've made enough money in crypto. I kind of want to pull all my assets out and liquidate everything. In some projects or protocols, you're not able to do that. So that's where midnight trades comes and becomes vitally important. It just means that it opens that secondary market up to resell these chain enhancers as well as your own chains later down the line. So it gives you that opportunity to really maximize the protocol. So you obviously have these chains which generate a small amount of SCAR or medium or a large amount of SCAR, and you can trade that in for RUSD, so a stable coin to cash out, or you can play the vault game and actually sell those NFTs that you gain on the secondary market to really actually maximize the profits as well as the game kind of theory behind it all.
And give us a quick overview of the SCAR tokenomics. Hello?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if I disconnected myself.
No. I had you on mute for a second because I was like yelling out to Alex for a second. So we have a couple of different things with the tokenomics. So they're pretty in depth. They're obviously listed in our white paper. So you've got obviously your normal sales tax, 15% claims tax, and then transfer tax. Now we have something which is kind of unique, which is called a rollover tax. And this plays into something which is what we call darkness upkeep, which is an upkeep system. Now that upkeep system itself is based on cycles. So, for example, I'll just give you an example of the Redlight chain, Scarlet Chains Red, I should say, which is on a 14-day cycle. So, what happens is, depending on the actions that you take, if you compound, for example, like once a week or twice a week, that actually lowers your upkeep once that upkeep cycle is up. Now, there's different unique ways of doing it because not everybody can compound. You might not have enough to make a new chain or a new node, you could say. Now, this is where the rollover tax comes into play. So you can basically roll over your pending rewards and keep them pending and pay a small amount of tax and actually qualify still for a lower upkeep. Now, to lower your upkeep, you either have to compound or you have to roll over. So there's different brackets. So if you don't compound at all, so you just sell the whole time, you'll pay, maximum upkeep. If you roll over once a week, so weeks, every 7 days, you pay a midterm. And if you roll over compound twice, you'll pay a lower upkeep. So those tokens are a little different to what we'll do, but we really want to manage the investment because at the end of the day, we didn't want something just set and forget and just kind of claim all, sell all, compound or whatever. We want to make it enjoyable as well as a very active passive investment.
You guys are really gamification, I've noticed. Do you think that this is going to be the future of DeFi, NFT, and GameFi ecosystems are built?
Look, it plays a part. Like, let's kid ourselves. Game industry is massive. Like, I would be lying. Don't play games. We love games. We love, game theory. We love things where you have to think about your investment. For me personally, I like an element. So, there's other projects where I'm inspired, which, I was like, this is really cool. Whether or not it's the future, we know. Like, love to do these things might be or might not have been to the level to it. I know it's a way to evolve. So, for example, we might like we have something new here where we might lower upkeep or we're going to push the rising floor. What we need you guys to do is we need 1,000 people to attend the next AMA so we can push the floor price up. So it's a way to engage with our community and investors to keep them active, because at the end of the day, we're very engaged with them, we're very involved with our community, we're in there nearly almost daily, and it's really rare for investors to be in the community almost on a daily basis. So obviously when we're not busy with meetings or developing and stuff like that, we're with the community, and we really wanted to engage them on that process. Now, one of the main things to take away about Redlight Finance is everything plays a part in our ecosystem, so they're interlocked together. So, for example, that we have in a project, they all require Red. Therefore, that boosts Redlight price value as well as how valuable it becomes, as well as some of the gamification. If you notice the trend with a lot of things that we do, color schemes, that we really wanted to push the envelope and make it very appealing, make it very involved and engaged.
All right, so the market community question here, is there anything about your ecosystem, whether it's Redlight or whether it's Scarlet that I haven't asked that you guys want to share with us? I mean, you guys are doing a lot. I tried my best to cover everything, but I always miss stuff. So anything you want to share, go ahead and do so now.
From me, you're pretty much on point with a lot of things. It was very machine gun questioning, and they're very technical questions, very involved. I don't really have much to add. Obviously, we want everybody, to join our link tree, have a look around, read our white papers. They're very in depth. AMAs only go for so long, so we can't do it full justice. Rather, you have a read of our meetings as well. Alex, I'm not sure if you had anything to add as well.
Nothing, man. I'm just really excited for what's to come. I'm super excited for Dusk. I'm super excited for proving everybody wrong with this blockchain. I'm super excited just to show the world what we've got and what this blockchain can really do to really boost up the industry as a whole.
Awesome. I'm excited. I guess one last question for me, more of a personal question, but if I wanted to run a validator, when could I get involved? Or rather, how could I get my hands on one of the ones being sold in the second or third batch? Excuse me.
Fantastic question. So each batch is different. We may or may not have a whitelist for batch 3, depending on demand or any requirements and stuff like that. So just stay tuned to the announcements in Discord and Telegram on batch 3 and when it does come out.
Right on. So let's go with Venice first. Venice, you there, buddy?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Noah, can you hear me? Okay. Actually, I have a question related to the NFT marketplace for the no gas fee concept. So, if there's a project launched on your chain and I'm about to mint an NFT, so the project will have to pay the gas fee on my behalf, or how will it work?
No, there's actually completely zero gas. There's no gas whatsoever. You don't pay gas. The project doesn't pay gas. There is no gas. All you do is you pay the minting fee that the project decides to charge you.
Okay,
No!
that's really awesome. And yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, somebody asked me a question from the other room. Sorry about
You
that.
good, brother?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
They wanted to know if I needed water. Sorry.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, I'm really happy to see you are trying to solve the biggest problem of gas fee in crypto, but I think it will not solve every problem in the crypto space. So, in your opinion, what other big problems or limitations you see that needs to be solved for the better integration for the real world utilities, and how do you plan to solve this?
That's a fantastic question. Education is a really big part of it, and I know Rory, our chief operating officer, would love to touch point on the education aspect of what we plan on doing with Redlight Education. Rory, you there, mate?
Yeah, sorry, I was just getting back into the old unmute there. So yeah, I mean, it is a good question. So with the blockchain itself, that's well, we're hoping to solve most of the problems out there, but the biggest one that we feel is kind of stopping the everyday person that's maybe only invested in stocks or never invested into anything at all and is kind of being put off by crypto, especially when I guess the media is always saying it's going down and so on, is just the education side of things. So yeah, us in the team here, including our community manager Kyle, putting together what we call Redlight Education, which is essentially just I guess a platform on our end to help build that bridge between the normal world and DeFi world by educating people on things as simple as how to set up MetaMask and how to protect your own funds, security side of things, all the way up to more technical side of it. So like what a blockchain actually is, what it's trying to solve, how it can be secure, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's going to be a big range of tools there, which the idea is anyone can go there to access it and learn at their own pace. Whether it's from different articles, different videos, anything that they want to about I guess blockchain technology itself and DeFi side of things. And yeah, as I say, just learn it at their own pace. And we think that's going to help break down the barrier so that we can get more people involved into the crypto world.
Okay, that's really awesome. And I was also wondering, will you build any mechanism which makes it easy for projects that are successfully running on other chains to migrate on RLC easily?
Yeah, fantastic question. So it's actually quite easy to migrate over. All of their existing contracts, all of their existing material, all of that can easily just hop right over to our blockchain because we are in Ethereum virtual machine compatible blockchain. So as long as they're on what's it called, chains like Ethereum, Binance, Avalanche, Phantom, and ourselves, they can launch on our chain no problem. In the event they're on a blockchain like Solana, for example, we'll have our middleware output system that will allow them to easily translate or transfer any of the information needed to come over to our blockchain.
Okay, that's really awesome. And also, I read about your R&D. So I was wondering, do you plan to provide any kind of scholarship to the researchers around the world to work with you in your R&D and bring some innovative ideas to your pool as well?
Yeah, great. So if there's anything that comes up or any ideas that you have, you can for marketing or outreach, you can definitely contact our CMO. His name's Shira Bailey Sheraton, right there. On you can see him, and you want to contact him, and he can help you out or anything like that, and see if there's anything viable that we can do together.
Okay, and also I read about that RLC is multi-language, and its use cases also include transactions like hospitals, pharmaceuticals, retail, etc. So I was wondering, do you have any? Did you reach out to any pharmaceutical or hospitals or retail project investors or any companies that own some pharmaceuticals to help them in their daily transactions or anything for them as well? So do you have anything in place?
Yeah, great. So as far as medical industry goes, and we're reaching out into any industry or any company in general, we can't really discuss who we've talked to, who we haven't, just because it's so early in the conversations, and we're really reaching out to people, and they're liking what we're showing them. So we're in those preliminary talks. Some of them are more advanced than others. We just can't divulge any personal information in regards to company names or what kind of deals are being put in place. But Leo might have a little bit of alpha or just something that he would like to talk to about any industry that we might be targeting specifically.
Yeah, okay. I think I touched on it before, but yeah, look, it's a really good question. We're obviously in talks with people. I guess without revealing too much, we have development companies that are very, very interested in integrating with our blockchain and providing solutions on that half. Obviously, Pandora's Vault is something I talked about, which has got to do with fiat transfers as well as wallet integration. And also with the debit cards and stuff like that. But we have something which is Redlight Secure, which is going to be onboarded in partnership with a managed services firm. So these are the kind of industries that I have relationships with because I know, the senior management there or some of the owners, and I've pitched the idea to them, and they're very, very keen in that regards. As far as the medical industry, no, we haven't touched on that as of yet. We've had people in the power industry talk to us as well. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of interest in integrating real world business into blockchain technology and DeFi itself. So when we say we want to bridge DeFi and real world business, it's a very great stepping stone. The biggest domino was the gas fee, which we've addressed with Redlight Chain.
Okay, understood. And I also saw on your YouTube channel you guys have visited to various conferences and expos. So could you please provide us the experience you guys had in these expos or conferences, and which one among them all were the best?
Well, interestingly enough, each expo was a different, had a different outlook or a different, agenda that we went into. So when we went to Dubai, it was obviously our first expo as a team, and we wanted to see, what people thought. And it's actually really funny that that we talk about that, because one of the things that we noticed was branding. Branding was very, very heavily important and influential, because we had people say, "Oh, Redlight," and they had a bit of a joke, so it was a bit of an icebreaker. And they said, "Tell me more about your protocol. What do you actually do?" Redlight Finance is quite a unique name, so the name draw itself with the branding really became very apparent in that regards. Now, we spoke to a lot of, I guess, other tokens that wanted to partner with us at that one. When we went to Singapore, it was more about blockchain. So these are real world businesses that were there. And, you talk about banking systems, like, for example, Citibank, we spoke to other blockchains, we spoke to, other exchanges, and we actually garnered a lot of connections through that. Now, with the expos themselves, it's really good for networking, because you gain exposure, because the people who normally attend those are the people who normally make decisions, or at least can vouch for your protocol. And we gained a lot from that. I feel that, Dubai was good, but I felt like Singapore itself actually really drove home a lot more connections, which we're still in touch with. And some of those actually might be coming to fruition with some of the announcements that we make. And it was just really interesting mixing with those technological people, or the people in the know-how, because some of them were like, "Look, your blockchain is really innovative. I can really see there's a real world use for this, because this is a project that I'm heading right now, and I can definitely see us partnering up and integrating with that." So stay tuned for more announcements, because there's big things coming from I guess those kind of connections that we made.
Okay, got it. You guys are really doing a lot to solve some massive problems of the crypto space, and it has been really interesting AMA. So thank you guys for answering my questions as well.
Yeah, not a problem. My pleasure. Thanks for asking.
Thanks, Venice. Next up is G Benga.
Hi, brother. Thanks for the opportunity. Redlight Finance, this is a great project, I must say. I think Venice have asked most of the questions, which I'm happy with, and I love the response. I just quickly, I observe you having a fair launch. I think so. Then in fair launch, anybody can tip in and buy any bag at any point in time. I'm just kind of curious, what will be your plans to guide against whales? Probably not to affect
Hey,
new
boss, you're
investors.
cutting in and out there a little bit. I can't hear the question as it's coming through.
Yeah, G Benga, I think your connection's a bit bad.
Okay, hello, can you hear me very well?
We can hear you, but
Hello?
the connection's it's not that great. Let's see if you can reboot your connection, and I'll call on you again just for time purposes. Let's go with Aisha next.
Thank you, Noah. So I was wondering that will Redlight blockchain be offering any specific solutions for healthcare industry, like providing data stream to share medical data like patients record, research data, and also giving more control to the patients over their information, and also make online consultation with doctors that would be easy for the patients in the developing countries?
Yeah, I mean, that's ideally what we would love to do in the medical industry with blockchain technology. I'm very big on having medical records as an NFT that's easily accessible around the world with a simple tap to touch on your phone, or a simple send of a button, just by sending that NFT around the world and making medical data easily accessible globally is something that blockchain technology can really help do. As far as integrating with what's it called, online consultants and stuff like that, Redlight Secure is a very good way to ensure that your patient doctor confidentiality isn't breached through blockchain security.
Okay, that would be really great. Okay, another question. I was thinking that will you be obtaining the patent for the innovating technology that you are utilizing for your blockchain to prevent forks?
So it's definitely something that's in discussion right now. Unfortunately, with software, it's extremely difficult to get patents because of how easily patents are avoidable. For instance, we could patent a specific line of code, but that specific line of code could have 500 different variations of it that wouldn't be covered under the patent that do the same exact thing. So when it comes to our intellectual property, keeping it very close to chest is super important for us, but a patent is not off the table at all.
Okay, understood. And you mentioned about tower defense game called Dusk. I was wondering that will it be necessary for players to have NFTs to be able to play the game, or there will also be free to play feature available as well?
Well, the Dusk game has many different avenues for joining it. One of them is called the Compass. It's a utility built into the D app that gives you a free piece of land, and that right there, that it's already free to play. The NFTs don't necessarily make it pay to play. You can get started with Dusk for free by utilizing the Compass utility that's part of the game.
Amazing. Okay, and will it be available on Play Store and iOS Store?
So eventually, that is our goal. It'd be amazing, absolutely awesome to develop it one day into a full-on iOS and Android app. However, it is in its early stage of pre-development, and it will come out first as a D app and a game as separated entities. But eventually, over time, and especially with something this massive, it will take a significant undertaking and cost to make it into a mobile compatible blockchain game. But that's definitely something that is a goal of ours.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for answering all my questions.
Thank you, Aisha. Next up is Sayed.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. Okay, so you discussed about pocket system. So I was just thinking that is the pocket system entirely based on AI or machine learning algorithm? And can it also be controlled or command manually as well?
Yes and no. So the manual avenue for it is definitely something that could potentially be a security risk. Just like I said, human error is a huge issue when it comes to exploitation for crypto. We want to take out the human factor as much as possible. It's an extremely advanced queue system that identifies network congestion. I wouldn't necessarily call it AI because it's not artificial intelligence. And I'm very strict with that word, but it is an advanced queue system that does read congestion and read network attacks and affect it in real time.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay, so you also mentioned that the users will have the option of paying gas if they choose to speed up their transaction. So I want to know that what will be the estimated time with the gasless transaction, and how much time will be reduced for the paid transaction during the congestion, and what estimated fee do users have to pay?
Well, the fee would be 100% fully up to the person. There won't be any estimated fees that are developed by any other system. So it'd be 100% uh, focused on what the person wants to pay for gas. As far as telling you how fast or how slow it would be compared to normal users, that's something I can't really tell you too much about because it really heavily depends on the entire specification of what's going on. If there's 100,000 people trying to get a Bored Ape Yacht Club that's launching on our chain, right? It's a completely different scenario to 1,000 people trying to get an NFT series or trying to participate in a pre-sale. But what I can tell you is that when you choose the option to pay gas, you get just placed in a different queue. Basically, you get put in a pocket that's dedicated for you and yourself for your transaction to go through. So it's not wasting time, and you're not subject to anything like that as far as the normal queue system goes, and being segregated from the advanced system.
Okay, got it. So you also mentioned about the DAO. So I was wondering that will holders be able to put forward any proposal for the for voting to the community?
I'm not sure what you mean by the DAO in that sense. The validators do have a decentralized voting process as far as kicking off malicious validators, but there's no decentralized autonomous organization for voting about the blockchain or any protocols.
Okay, okay, got it, got it. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay, final question. So I was going through this article and it's mentioned that PAO mechanism is considered to be centralized as validators are pre-approved and only few members, a number of validators are validating all the transaction. So can you give us your take on this subject and won't you think that it can cause any problems in the future?
So all of our validators are individual people that control their validator on our validator dashboard. They do have voting rights. They have all of that. The only difference is they opted into, we had the option of hosting our validators, and we really wanted to express that it's very important, especially for the early stages of a blockchain, that they're not self-hosted by the individual because of how vital validation is for a blockchain in its early stages. So all of our validators that are controlled by these 200 people are what's it called, hosted on different hosting services. And of course, we do have pools of validators that people are going to be able to stake in. So I don't see where you're getting the centralized aspect of it, but I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, got it. I was just reading in the article, it was mentioned that it is considered centralized, so I wanted your take on that. Okay, so I also want to know that all the validators will be KYC to you, right?
No, it's decentralized. None of the 200 people gave us any of their IDs or any of their personal information. It's fully decentralized.
Okay, so if there is any bad actors among the validators, how will you identify them?
Like I mentioned earlier, through a decentralized voting process, it's easy. It's fairly easy to identify a malicious validator, and it's fairly easy to kick them off. You don't need anybody's information to kick off a validator.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clearing that. Thank you so much. Over to you now.
No problem. Thanks for the questions.
Thanks for the questions. This is going to bring up another question for me, and I've probably touched on it slightly, and you probably told me very politely that you can't tell me more about it, but I'm going to try again. If one of these 200 or let's say, like hypothetically speaking, can 101 of these 200 validators to try to conspire and attack the network? Is that something that could happen?
I mean, technically, yes, it could happen, but it's extremely improbable because these are 200 separate individuals, and it would require that you have 101 people band together in order to do so. But as soon as one starts to turn, you can easily kick it all off. It's very easily to identify malicious data on a blockchain through the validation. And on top of that, you still do have the Genesis node that as the master validator that allows us to pretty much see into what validators are doing or planning on doing in their consensus process.
Oh, I wasn't sure if we even talked about the Genesis node. That sounds interesting. Did we mention it at the beginning of the AMA? I don't recall.
Yes, we touched on it briefly when I talked over the proof of authority concept and the hybrid between proof of authority and proof of stake.
Got it. And who controls the Genesis node?
Technically, as a company, we do, but it's a decentralized. It's part of the decentralized voting process.
Let's go with Azekage. He's got a question. Oh, it looks like he put his hand down. Oh, he put his hand back up. Okay. What's going on, man?
Can you hear me?
Go for it, brother. Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, good evening. I wasn't at the beginning of the AMA, so maybe you have spoken about some things I'll ask. So first of all, I would like to know why the name Redlight Finance, because when we think of red light, the very first thing that comes to mind is red light district. So why Redlight Finance and Scarlet Chain? Both of them are all talking about red. So I would like to know where the source of the name came from.
So I think I talked about this before, or I definitely touched on it about, I guess, brand recognition. So, you know, you look at Coca-Cola, you look at Pepsi, you look at Mercedes. They all have something something that stands out that is very identifiable. When we first started Redlight Node District, well, when I actually started Redlight Token District, it was basically, yeah, you're exactly right. It's like the Redlight district, but instead of, you know, escorts and stuff like that, it was tokens. You know, so somebody could wander through the street and, you know, pick tokens that they wanted to buy, wanted to take home, and it was kind of a real play on words from there. And then obviously when we started Redlight Node District, we kind of continued that theme a little bit. And then, you know, as we founded or we pivoted to Redlight Finance, we obviously wanted to push a more business image. But we also wanted to pay homage to, you know, our roots and our foundations of where we all started from. And we wanted to keep that kind of flair and that kind of edgy marketing and branding. So that's kind of what we're known for. Now, like I've touched on before, when we were at the Dubai conference, it was really amazing because a lot of people came up and they said, oh, Redlight, kind of, you know, the, I guess, the kind of interpretation that you came with, but they're like, oh, Redlight Finance, it seems a strange kind of name. But funnily enough, that broke the ice and they were like, oh, tell me more about it. And then as we had those conversations with these people, they were like, wow, this is really, really cool that you guys are going to come up with a gasless blockchain, your own DEX, your own NFT marketplace, your own stabilized node system. And it really opened the door in that regards. Now, Scarlet Chains is really playing on that theme. So we kind of went for, you know, a kind of nighttime dark kind of theme. So we had, you know, Scarlet Chains and a lot of the NFTs, if you might not have seen them, are playing on that kind of fantasy kind of genre, medieval kind of vampiric kind of concept. Midnight Trade was much the same. And then we've got, like, you know, our Central Exchange was coming out later, which is Eventide. So a lot of the theme behind it was times of day and times of night. And that's kind of where we're pushing that theme, because I'm very heavy on branding and theme base. And we really wanted to push the envelope to really get recognized as something that would stand out. We didn't want to be called, you know, blockchain 2.0 or something like that. We wanted something totally different where people would be like, oh, Redlight Chain or Red LC or, you know, Redlight Finance is very, very distinctable, especially when you say it, it's very memorable. So we really pushed that branding and we really ran with it.
Okay, thank you. That really makes sense. So my next question is about this gasless. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So let me ask it one more time. When you mean gasless, you mean I can do any transaction I want without paying a single fee? Just my transactions, I can send my tokens from one place to another, and I wouldn't pay a single dime as gas fee?
Correct.
Wow. Okay, that's nice. Now, I was reading through your white paper and I found this optional gas. Based on what you explained, it was about that if you want a faster transaction speed, you could opt in for optional gas. But then again, if there are so many transactions going on, person A, for example, now may go for optional gas to increase his speed. Person B may go for higher gas to increase his speed. Person C may do that to the extent in which everybody goes back to gas payment. Is there any mechanism put in place to prevent this, to actually keep the gasless theme going?
Yeah, it's if you scroll up a little bit on the white paper, you'll find the pocket system. And that's how the queue management system works, and we call it the pocket system, and that's what's very vital for the optional gas fees and also the congestion of our network when there is some.
Okay, I'll make sure to revise that because I was quickly going to read that. Then my third question is on the Scar NFT system. I know I was listening and you said something about you could bring in 2 or 3 NFTs together to get a higher tier NFT, and sometimes it is possible for you to lose part of the NFTs, something like that. I know when you spoke about it, I thought of gacha system in gaming, in which you can try to upgrade your weapons and stuff, and it can get to a higher place, and at some point you may actually lose your weapon in total. Basically, what I want to know is, you said there are some holders of some specific NFTs in which when one person loses his NFTs, it goes into the other person's wallet address. So I want to know those specific NFTs in which you can hold. How do you get to those NFTs so you can get them? So in case of someone else loses his NFT, you can also get that. Can you shed more light on that?
Yeah, so you're talking about Scarlet Chains, which is our passive income protocol. So you're talking about the sacrificial vaults. Now, interestingly enough, like if you have a read of our white paper, it's really in depth, as well as some of our Medium articles. It goes really in depth in how our game theory really works with it, and how it, and I guess how it totally operates. But to give you a real quick example of what it is, we have something called Scarlet Knights. Now, if you have that NFT or you own that NFT, that makes you eligible to actually get those stolen NFTs. So what actually happens is when these stolen NFTs get minted, for example, they go into a pool. Now, if nobody has Scarlet Knights, nobody will be eligible to get it. So to be able to get access to those stolen NFTs, you need to be holding Scarlet Knights. So for example, if one person has it, that means every NFT that does get stolen or on mint, it only happens on mint, by the way, in the Dusk vault, that person will get every single NFT. As more and more people acquire Scarlet Knights, the NFT, what happens is it basically starts to do random number generation, and it does auto allocation. So it'll randomly pick somebody from that pool and it'll allocate it to them in that sense.
Okay, so how do you get Scarlet Knight NFT? Is there a special method, or you just go mint it straight up?
No, you can't mint it. So this is where the gamification kind of comes in. Now, you talked about the 3-in-1 system, which is basically what our sacrificial vault does. Now, it's the top one, which has a chance of your NFT being stolen on mint. That one actually has the option, or I guess the chance to gain that. So you would have to, in our Medium article, it has some of the combinations that you might try to be able to get that, but there's certain percentages. So it's kind of like, if you think about gaming, it's kind of like an in-game drop, where you would sacrifice 3 of your actual Scarlet Chains assets for a possibility of gaining it. Now, Scarlet Knights can only be gained from the Dusk vault, from the sacrificial vaults, as well as most of our chain enhancers, which are listed in our white paper, as well as our Medium article. And if you have a look at our Twitter, we've been posting the NFT and the artwork for them as well.
Okay, thank you. That system will actually rake in a lot of profit, because as humans we are always wanting more. So going for a higher possibility really does make sense. I congratulate you for that, bringing that into action. So my last question is a little bit on the programming aspect. I'm into programming a little bit. So when you said there are so many languages in which your blockchain can be connected to, I was actually impressed. You said you listed a few, talked about Java, C++, and Python and the rest. So I would like to know how many programming languages were actually integrated into the blockchain in which a front end can be connected to. Is there a specific amount?
Good question. A multitude of languages, really. It's compatible with nearly any, I wouldn't say every programming language, but a multitude of programming languages. Because what happens is the actual interface is coupled, well, I guess to be interlinked with our blockchain. So anybody using that middleware can actually couple with it. And then what happens is when they integrate with it, it basically transforms it into Solidity, and then it integrates with the blockchain. So there's a fair few which are covered. I can't remember if they're fully covered in our white paper, but there's a multitude that is covered. So you've named some of them. There's like React as well. There's Django, and there's a couple of other ones as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I had the last question, but it skipped my mind. So thank you very much for a nice AMA, and I wish you success.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thanks for your questions.
Azakage, thank you for the questions. Redlight team, thank you so much for being with us today. I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and I hope to see you guys thrive in the near future. If there's anything you want to leave our community with before we shut things down, go ahead and do so now.
Yeah, so just a quick shout out to obviously yourself, Noah, for hosting us, as well as your community. Yeah, you guys have been a great bunch. It's been a pleasure, presenting our project to you guys. I'll get Bailey to post, like when you open up the chat, I'll get Bailey to post our link tree. So that has basically all of our links to whether it's our Twitter, our Discord, our Instagram, our Telegram, or just even our white papers or our website, as well as, you know, the 2 exchanges we're launching on launch day, which is XT and CoinStore. If you guys are a fan or you guys want to know more, feel free to drop into our Discord. We've got really helpful people there. Everybody's really welcoming. Happy to help you with anything. So yeah, just pop by. And all I can say is, yeah, appreciate the AMA. It's been really, really good. And yeah, very in depth.
Beautiful.
I want to say thank you as well. And shout out to all of our community who decided to attend the AMA today. And for everybody listening in, look out for a Dusk NFT that's going to be hidden somewhere for you guys to win. It's going to be a very, very, very special unit called Ugam. And you're really going to want to get one of those. So look out for that.
Awesome. Wait, so there's only one being given away?
No, but you have to find it and solve the riddle. But good luck with that. It's very, very, very hard because this is a defensive unit. Ugam is a very, very, very giant ant, and it has the ability to do a wave wipe. So it's a very, very powerful unit. It's going to be the first NFT that's created for Dusk. And there's
Right
going to be
on.
several of them available. But look out for that, guys.
Super cool, guys. Whale Coin Talk community, thank you so much for being with us today. Remember that everything you hear on Whale Coin Talk is for educational purposes only. We never give any financial advice here. So use this podium, learn more about what's being built in the crypto space, and only invest what you're willing to lose. Stick around. Acti's going to do a quick spin, quick giveaway to our members. And this is Noah for now, signing out.
Thanks, guys. Much appreciated.
All right, there we go. I think we got everybody should see the wheel here. We're gonna do 2 spins for $50 each, and we still have the chat locked, guys. So all the official links, everything is right there in our main chat. You're probably safer just going to the main website and navigating through everything. There's a lot of information there, and of course, if you're more on the technical side, you know, the test nets there available for you to play around with. This has been a really interesting one for everybody here, guys. So thank you everybody for attending. And I got the second winner here. Congratulations! I got your IDs. We'll contact you for your wallets to send you your prizes, guys. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. This has really been a great one, and thank you to the Redlight Finance team for being with us. This has been amazing. Yeah. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, Acti. Thank you.